Demand forecasting is a process of predicting future sales by using historical sales data to make informed business decisions about everything from inventory planning to running flash sales. Demand forecasting helps estimate the total sales and revenue for a future period of time. Good day, everyone. Our discussion for today will be about demand forecasting. According to Evan J. Douglas, demand estimation or demand forecasting may be defined as a process of finding values for demand in future time periods. In the words of Candiff and Steele, demand forecasting is an estimate of sales during a specified future period based on proposed marketing plan and a set of particular uncontrollable and competitive forces. Significance of demand forecasting. First is fulfilling objectives. This implies that every business unit starts with certain pre-decided objectives. Demand forecasting helps in fulfilling these objectives. An organization estimates the current demand for its products and services in the market and move forward to go or to achieve the set goals. Second is preparing for the budget. This plays a crucial role in making budget by estimating costs and expected revenues. Third is stabilizing employment and production. This helps an organization to control its production and recruitment activities. Producing according to the forecasted demand of products helps in avoiding the wastage of the resources of an organization. This further helps an organization to hire human resource according to requirement. Next is expanding organizations. This implies that demand forecasting helps in deciding about the expansion of the business organization. Next is taking management decisions. This helps in making critical decisions such as deciding the capacity of the business, determining the requirement of raw material, and ensuring the availability of labor and capital. Six is evaluating performance. This is very important because it helps in making corrections. Seven is helping the government. This enables the government to coordinate import and export activities and plan international trade. For the objectives of demand forecasting, first, we need to classify the short-term objectives and the long-term objectives. For the short-term objectives, we have the following: formulating production policy, formulating price policy, controlling sales, and arranging finance. For the long-term objectives, we have deciding the production capacity and planning long-term activities. For the short-term objectives, letter A is formulating the production policy. This helps in covering the gap between the demand and supply of the product. Letter B is formulating price policy. This refers to one of the most important objectives of demand forecasting. An organization sets price of its products according to their demand. For the short-term objectives, still we have controlling sales. This helps in setting sales targets, which act as a basis for evaluating sales performance. Letter D is arranging finance. This implies that the financial requirements of the enterprise are estimated with the help of demand forecasting. This helps in ensuring proper liquidity within the organization. Second is long-term objectives. Letter A, deciding the production capacity. This implies that with the help of demand forecasting, an organization can determine the size of the plant or the organization that is required for the production. The size of the plant should conform to the sales requirement of the organization. Still, for the long-term objectives, we have planning long-term activities. This implies that demand forecasting helps in planning for long-term. We have different factors affecting demand forecasting. First is the types of goods, then the level of competition, then the price of goods, and then the level of technology and the economic viewpoint. For the types of goods, we have the producer's goods, the consumer's goods, the services, the established goods, the new goods. These affect the demand forecasting process to a larger extent. For the competition level, we have the influence that the process of demand forecasting. This is in a highly competitive market wherein the demand for products also depend on the number of competitors existing in the market. Moreover, in a highly competitive market, there is always a risk of new entrants. And in such a case, demand forecasting becomes difficult and very challenging. Next is the price of goods. This acts as a major factor that influences the demand forecasting process. The demand forecasts of organizations are highly affected by change in their pricing policies. Next is level of technology. This constitutes an important factor in obtaining reliable demand forecasts. If there is a rapid change in technology, the existing technology or product may become obsolete. Fifth is economic viewpoint, and this play a crucial role in obtaining demand forecasts. For the time period of forecast, we have the definition as it's act as a crucial factor that affect demand forecasting. The accuracy of demand forecasting depends on its time period. And we have three types. We have the short period forecast, the long period forecast, and the very long period forecast. For the short period forecast, these refer to the forecasts that are generally for 1 year and based upon the judgment of the experienced staff. Short period forecasts are important for deciding the production policy, the price policy, the credit policy, and distribution policy of an organization. Next is long period forecasts. These refer to the forecasts that are for a period of 5 to 10 years and based on scientific analysis and statistical methods. The forecast helps in deciding about the introduction of a new product, expansion of the business, or requirement of extra funds. Next is very long period forecast. These refer to the forecasts that are for a period of more than 10 years. These forecasts are carried to determine the growth of population, development of the economy, political situation in the country, and changes in international trade in future. We have the levels of forecasts. We have three. First is macro level, wherein the forecasts are taken from general economic conditions. Next is industry level, wherein the forecasts are prepared by trade associations and statistical data, sales dependent to particular industry. Next is firm level, wherein forecasts are done to estimate the demand of those products whose sales depends on the specific policy of a particular firm. Next is nature of forecast. General forecast provides a global picture of business environment. Next is specific forecast, in which it provides an insight into the business environment in which an organization operates. We have the following step or process of demand forecasting. First, setting the objective. Second, determining the time period. Third, selecting method for data forecasting. Fourth, collecting data. And fifth, estimating results. For setting the objectives, this refers to first and foremost step of the demand forecasting process. An organization needs to clearly state the purpose of demand forecasting before initiating it. Setting objective of demand forecasting involves the following. Letter A, deciding the time period of forecasting, whether an organization should opt for short-term forecasting or long-term forecasting. Letter B, deciding whether to forecast the overall demand for a product in the market or only for the organization's own products. Letter C, deciding whether to forecast the demand for the whole market or for the segment of the market. And letter D, deciding whether to forecast the market share of the organization. Number 2 is determining time period. This involves deciding the time perspective for demand forecasting. Demand can be forecasted for a long period or short period. In the short run, determinants of demand may not change significantly or may remain constant, whereas in the long run, there is a significant change in determinants of demand. Therefore, an organization determines the time period on the basis of its set objectives. Number 3, selecting a method for demand forecasting. This constitutes one of the most important steps of the demand forecasting process. Demand can be forecasted by using various methods. The method of demand forecasting differs from one organization to organization depending on the purpose of forecasting, the time frame, and data requirement, and its availability. Selecting the suitable method is necessary for saving time and cost and ensuring the reliability of the data. Fourth is collecting data. This requires gathering primary or secondary data. When we say primary data, this refers to the data that is collected by researchers through observation, interviews, and questionnaires for a particular research. On the other hand, secondary data refers to the data that is collected in the past, but can be utilized in the present scenario research work. And number 5, estimating results. This involves making an estimate to the forecasted demand for predetermined years. The result should be easily interpreted and presented in a usable form. The result should be easy to understand by the readers or management of the organization. That's it for the presentation of the topic, demand forecasting. Hope you learned something. Again, thank you very much and stay safe, everyone.